Today we will talk about Casper and concentrate on the ties it has into the financial industry. There are some interesting connections with Crédit Agricole, not sure how to pronounce that. It is a French bank, 1 million customers. It's also interesting that Crédit Agricole has ties into Ripple and XRP with their Jetstream FX trading platform that connects in on an API. And there are some interesting timings of announcements of stablecoins for Ripple and Casper.
So we saw Ripple announce that they're doing a stablecoin, Casper announcing that they're doing a stablecoin. What is like the grandiose purpose of all this? Why are these companies throwing their hat in the ring with stablecoins?
One of the main reasons that people want to have native stablecoins on their own chain is to keep liquidity within their own ecosystem, right? If I can hold a stablecoin on the Casper network and then purchase Casper as needed for deploying smart contracts, deploying NFTs, building applications, whatever I want to do on that network, and then again also be able to sell any excess Casper back into a stablecoin without leaving the chain, that does make things easier for me, and it also creates more liquidity. It opens up the ability for us to have native DeFi on a particular chain. So one of the big important things we're going to need is interoperability. So the ability to move coins cross-chain. We're seeing more and more large exchanges like Coinbase offer additional vessels to move your coins. Prior to, I want to say it was about the last year, maybe 8 months ago, you only were able to send USDC over the ETH network, which was always terrible, not only because of the congestion that occurs on the Ethereum network, but the fees associated with the Ethereum network. Now I can send it on Tron or Optimism or Matic, and all of those things are going to save you literally tenfold. So that's going to be one of the most important parts of great. We're going to provide, native liquidity within our chain, but making sure that that liquidity is easily transferable and bridged to other chains so that we can go ahead and utilize those coins on other chains as well. But overall, very bullish, and it will boost the overall ecosystem if thoroughly adopted.
And as we are talking about interoperability, Casper especially has a lot of ties into IBM and the Hyperledger, which has tons of ties into Stellar and XLM, as well as Ripple and XRP. You've also got Quant, R3, and XDC, and you have things like HBAR and IOTA. And the interoperability piece comes into play because all of these connections into Hyperledger essentially go back into Stellar and XLM. And I have shown examples of how the Stellar network can and is being used right now to bridge assets with either XLM or tokens such as SHX and Velo. So as far as the Casper and financial ties go, I have talked about Nucleus Finance in the past, who is working on tokenized financial contracts. And Casper has been heavily involved in the WEF. They concentrated on IPv and the tokenization of IP in 2022, which I don't think that project is completely dead. I think we will see things come up in between Casper and IBM on that one, with all of the ties that IPv had and has into IBM. In 2024, Casper was talking a lot about AI, which I will cover in a different piece of content. And you have IBM talking about bridges in the F documentation. The often overlooked ties of Casper into the financial industry are extremely valuable. And this whole thing about tokenization of financial contracts is extremely important because a lot of your things like FX trading, futures, derivatives, and even debt require contracts. I have also talked about Casper's involvement in Actus, and they are a organization that concentrates on uniformity in the financial industry. And here it is specifically talking about Casper and a potential partnership. And Tokenizer points out that Actus standards cover over 98% of modern day financial contracts. In April of 2024, Casper had an interview with the president of Actus. And here at the Wharton FinTech 2024 conference, which I believe is the business school at Harvard, not too terribly sure because I'm not an Ivy type, even though I did have the head coach of Brown come talk to me in high school, and he got upset when I said that I was trying to use football as an opportunity for a good education, and that was my priority. And then he informed me that Brown is a football school and that wouldn't work. So I didn't exactly talk to him a lot after that. But the important thing here is that Casper was talking about their work with Actus. And in a recent Actus post, there was a comment from an industry expert with over 36 years of experience, said how the Actus standard seems as if it's a great foundation for this element. The Actus 2024 conference information has been put out, and it includes people from the DTCC, US Treasury, and the European Central Bank, and Casper is the key sponsor. And since we just talked about the European Central Bank, Actus is growing in the central bank space. And an example of that is a senior advisor for the ECB is speaking on the future of Actus, DLT interoperability, and the tokenization of securities, all of which can be a really good fit with Casper just because of all of the examples I just talked about, specifically around contracts. And as we get back to that Casper and Actus interview, the president talked about how the DTCC is becoming Actus compliant, and the Chinese equivalent of the DTCC is also Actus compliant, which are two of the largest clearinghouses in the world. And I believe that the DTCC handles about 10 trillion every day. There's also connections into quants as well because of Actus with its ISO TC 307 standard, which talks about LT interoperability. So in short, Actus is the financial contract standard. It's joined Technical Committee 68 for aligned standards. It joined the ISO 222 group. It has collaborated with Casper, and it is involved in TC 307 as well as 68 in regards to finance and DLT interoperability, which could push Casper as one of the most compliant DLTs in all of fintech in regards to financial standards.